How are you doing, everybody? This is Elisha Hall coming to you for another episode of Midweek Motivation. This is a great time because we're talking about a topic of the 3 Ds of lasting change. And so if you think about school, they don't like Ds too much. But here in business and in life, we love them. So if you have 2 of these Ds, you're actually doing pretty well. But if you have 3, you're on your way to something amazing. All right, so if you're ready, let's go. How are you doing, everybody? So let's go ahead and dive right into this topic. And as we do, you already know that each week when we throw out these topics, we want to create a lot of momentum and inspiration right smack in the middle of your week. Because sometimes the middle of the week can be the toughest part of the week to get through. We don't need motivation on Fridays because we're already excited that we're going into the weekend. We don't need motivation on Mondays because we already have a lot of energy from the weekend. We do this midweek motivation right smack in the middle of your week. So that way you can have a lot of energy and inspiration to end your week strong, to create an amazing month, which will lead to an amazing year. So as we dive into this topic, the 3 Ds of lasting change, one of the most important ones is right up front because it creates a lot of emotion. This one, it just gets people juiced and riled up in all these different ways. And so the first D of lasting change is disgust. Yep, you heard me say it, disgust. And here's why. Let me share a quick story. My daughter, she came up to me about 5 years ago. She had one of those fundraisers, you know, when they come home with the pamphlets or the magazines and they want to sell you something. They just want you to buy something, overpriced chocolates or all these different things that are in there. And so she comes up, she has this great sales pitch, and I'm thinking, you know what, I would love to support you. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I would love to support you, but I don't have it right now. I just can't. And so what I did was, we were right around the holidays, and I remember it was a bunch of us family members were getting together. And so I told her, I said, you know what? Go ahead and ask your aunts and your uncles, and I'll take a look at it after they're done. After they get a few things, go ahead and ask your aunts and your uncles, your grandmother, and then I'll get a chance to look at it afterwards. The idea was I was hoping by the time she got around to all of them, she would forget about bringing it back to me. And I remember I was so disgusted with myself when I looked back at it, when I thought about it, the way I felt having to turn my baby girl away, not being able to support her the way I wanted to. And financially, I was just strapped. And so I was so disgusted with myself, my performance, where I was at in life. It's like, man, I went to college. I've got all these great opportunities. I'm doing what I thought I was supposed to do to create the life that I want. And I'm not even to a place where I can support my baby girl for a school fundraiser. I was disgusted, and that created a certain level of emotional motivation inside of me for change. So the second D is desire. See, it doesn't have to be from a space of something that's not right. It can also be a space from something that you want, something that you want to create, almost an obsession. And so what is the desire that you have that you want to create for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your business, for your lifestyle, for your peace of mind, for comfort level, whatever it is that you want to create, for your legacy, for other people that you want to touch their lives? What's that desire? Something that moves you in such a strong way that you are willing to do things you wouldn't normally do to create a lifestyle that you don't currently have right now. And so that desire can push you in order to move you to make decisions, which is the last D, because this is where everything else is cut off. There are no other options. There are no other choices. You make a decision to move forward and you move on that decision. Now, I want you to think about decision as an incision, as if you're going to cut, right? Just like a surgery, you're going to cut off all other options of things that can be done because you made a specific decision about what you're going to do in order to change your life. And so when you think about that, being able to move forward within a decision that you made, being a decisive person where you're not an indecisive person, where you have so many different directions you can go in that you're confused and you do nothing, or you're not confused but you still do nothing. Indecision. We're going to make a decision, cut off all other options, and move forward within that. Now here's why I say that if you have two, you're in a good space, because you have to either make a decision based on your desire for something or your disgust in something. Get that? Your desire for something or your disgust in something. See, you have to be within a certain situation in your life in order to be disgusted with it, to be disgusted by it. When you're in it and you feel it, it's like you're emotionally drowning, and that emotion that you're in is so painful or bad or difficult or negative, you don't want to be there ever again. Okay, so desire, though, moving towards something that you want, we tend to move towards pleasure and away from pain. And in thinking about that, whether you have the desire and the decision, the desire helped you make the decision, or you have the disgust and the decision, and the disgust helped you make the decision. Either way, you need two, and you'll be in a good space. If you have three, remember I said that, if you have three, you're in a fantastic place. You're onto something special. And here's why. Because you might only be able to see one. If you're a positive person and being able to say, I make a decision based on the desire because I'm a positive person, that's great. But guess what? What if you desire something and you don't get it? How is that going to affect you negatively? That's what you want to be disgusted with, where if you don't get that change that you want, if you don't create that financial stability or that financial future, if you don't get your business to where you want it to be, if you don't get your children's education to where you want it to be, if you don't get whatever it is, that desire that you have, if you don't retire your parents, if you don't create the mindset that you want to read a certain number of books that you want this year, or reach your New Year's resolution, if you don't hit those things, then what would the negative outcome be? That's the space that you can recognize that you would be disgusted with. Now, in that case, you have all three. Now, let me flip it. If you're that kind of person where you were like me, where you were just sick and tired of being sick and tired, you were disgusted with the space that you were at, and you made the decision based on the disgust, and you move forward that way, that's great. Now you have to also create the desire. Because you can't just be disgusted, because then you're only focusing on the negative. I got to get out of that. I got to get out of that. Great, you have to get out of that, but where are you going to? You know where you're coming from, but where are you going to? So you have to have a specific goal and a plan to reach that goal for that thing that you desire. You have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. Be very specific. So that way, when you're coming out of that space of desire, of disgust, you don't want to just settle for anything. Right? It's like if you're coming out of a bad relationship and all you know is you want to get out of that relationship, but you end up in another bad relationship. No, you got to know where you're going. So the beautiful thing about that is being able to have all three, coming out of the disgust, making the decision to move forward from that space, but know where you're going to, what you desire and what you want. So these are the 3 Ds of lasting change. And if you're serious about creating the life, the business, the career, whatever it is that you want for yourself, as I know you are, because you wouldn't have got to the end of this video if you weren't serious about shifting your life. So I appreciate you as always. And if there's something on here that connected with you, feel free to hit like on it or share it. If there's something on here that you want more information on, feel free to give some feedback. Or if you just hated the video, I'm okay with that too. But either way, I appreciate you guys, because the beautiful thing is we are so much stronger together than we are separately. So let's walk down the hall to success together.